Hey guys, welcome back to another new video, and before I get started, I just want to say a huge thank you for all of the support that you're showing towards this channel, and it really means a lot to me, so thank you so much for that. And with that said, let's get into today's video, shall we? As always, I started off with a very light sketch of a mango, and this is a very simple sketch. And if you would like to draw the same thing, then I'll leave the link to the reference that I used in the description box down below so that you can go and check that out. And now I'm going to lighten this even further with a kneadable eraser as always. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to select all the colors that I needed for this drawing, and it's a very simple basic set. I just need a light color and some midtones and some darker shades, and that's it. And now I'm going to start with the yellow color first, and I'm going to draw the first layer of color pencil. As the thumbnail suggests, I'm only using two techniques, and that is layering and burnishing. And now I'm going to start with the layering process, and as you can see, this is my first layer of color, and for the first layer I went in the same direction for the whole mango. And now for my second layer I'm going to change up the direction, and what this basically does is that it is going to fill out the grains of the paper better, and also it is going to cancel the pencil strokes of my previous layer, and that's why you get a very smooth and even shading. From this layer onwards, I'm going to start adding the shadows. And as I said previously, you have to go in the opposite direction of your previous layer, so this is a must for every single layer that you do. You have to go in the opposite direction of your previous layer. And I'll just pop up the finished drawing in the top right, and if you take a look at the reference which is linked in the description box, you can clearly see that there is a very subtle color change. The color changes are very soft and the transitions were really soft, and there isn't much of a striking difference between the colors. So in order to achieve that soft, smooth transition, you need to layer a lot. And also you need to use less pressure on your pencil, and in order to do that, you have to hold your pencil way back. And in this video, I showed you lots more tips about how to use color pencils, so it will be really useful for you if you check that out. Coming back to today's video, as you can see, I'm just layering again and again the same colors again and again. I'm using yellow, I'm using orange, I'm using brown, alternatively till I get the color that I want. As you can see, just by layering one color upon one color, the graininess isn't there anymore, and also the colors are looking a little bit saturated, and also the fruit is actually taking shape. If you're using a real mango instead of a reference image, then take a close look at it. It is a three-dimensional object, isn't it? It has X, Y, and Z axis, and light falls upon it, and since it has 3 dimensions, light is not going to be evenly spread out, and that is why you get highlights and shadows, isn't it? In order to replicate that in our drawing, we have to maintain the highlights as bright as possible and the shadows as dark as possible and close to the reference as possible. And now that I'm quite finished layering the mango, I'm going to go with the leaf, and as I said, I'm going to do the same things again and again. I'm going to start with the yellow first, and then I'll move on to green, and then a dark green, and sometimes I'll use brown. It all depends on the reference image. So make sure that you use a really good reference image. If you are into realism, then the major thing that you would have noticed is that the colors that you have are never a match for the reference image, because the colors in nature are always different and there isn't any pure color. So in order to achieve the color that you want, you have to layer a lot, and that is the major use of layering technique. You can almost mix any color that you want. As you can clearly see, the mango is a completely different color than what it used to be a few layers ago, and that is only because I mixed the colors that I want by layering on top of each other. Now that I'm happy with my layers, I'm going to use a white color pencil and I'm going to burnish the lighter areas, and for the darker areas I'm going to use yellow. And burnishing is basically the opposite of layering. In this process, you need to use lots of pressure, and as you can see, I'm holding the pencil way closer to the nib. And this allows me to exert lots of pressure to the pencil, and this is going to block in the color in just one go. Just as you see, the colors are going to become much more intense and saturated in just a few minutes. And this is the major advantage of burnishing. And also, if you burnish in your initial layers, then it is going to damage the tooth of the paper. The paper may seem smooth, but it actually has lots of ups and downs in it. So if you burnish, you are going to lose that texture, and it's not going to hold on to the color pencil layers later on. So always do burnishing in the final layers. Now moving on to the shadows, I'm going to use a 6B graphite pencil. I really love to use graphite pencil for all the shadows because it is so easy to get a really nice and smooth shadow. Once I've laid down enough graphite, I'm going to use a tissue paper and blend it all out. In my experience, I think tissue paper works the best for blending graphite. And this is not the final layer. I'm going to add another layer of graphite and I'm going to do the same thing again. In addition to the graphite, I'm also using color pencil for the shadow as well. And I do this because if the surface is reflective, then it's obviously going to reflect the mango color onto it. And that's why you have some kind of a color on the shadow. And also, shadows are not black. They are just absence of light. So keep that in mind. And if the surface is reflective, then it is going to have some kind of a tint of the object placed on top of it. And now with a very light brown color, I'm going to add some details on top of the mango because the mango skin is not smooth. It is going to have some kind of pigmentation, some kind of color here and there. And it's just the nature of the mango. It's going to have spots. So you need to do that for your drawing as well. Otherwise, it's not going to look realistic. Just a little more details, little more adjustments here and there, and that's it, the mango is finished. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching and I'll talk to you guys in my next one. Bye everybody.